We live, Carlie.
So what's up?
Oh, that's how we started the first one, remember? We said, we live.
We also sang We Ready, but I still can't find that clip.
I got it. You don't have it for a reason.
Of course not.
What are we talking about today, Carlie?
We are talking about love.
And what about love? What kind of love are we talking about?
Romantic. But we are looking at it through the facet of a miseducation on love. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's weird to me now. Actually, it seems weird to say like I've been studying and all this and that. But when you learn more, when you're reading more and understanding yourself more and how you feel about love, how you act in relationships, etc., in an effort to find a better route or find something that feels right for you or feels better for you. As I learn different things, terms like codependency and terms about being a whole person yourself and all these different things. Now when I listen to music especially, I'm always like so disgusted. Underneath the lyrics and the beats being cool or whatever, when I really listen to it, I'm like, this is trash. Like these love songs aren't about love at all.
No, they're not. And like they're actually most of the time really unhealthy. There's one song that I was like listening to. I was like, oh, I like the beat and it flows really great for a yoga class. But I listened to the words. I was like, I can't even support this. Like I can't even listen to this because it's just so unhealthy. But it's like until you go through it, you can't really.
Yeah, but it's also
it.
relatable. So like that's why the music and love songs are so good, because it's like we can at the same time I can totally relate to it, but I can hear the unhealthy mindset, whether it's of the person or the person they're talking about, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like all I hear now is just like, ooh, like that's not really what you want to be feeling. Like, what are some examples
Of songs or
like feelings that you're like, ooh, like anytime for me when somebody's like, you complete me,
bruh, codependency.
in the movies, in songs, and
like
it's like,
I need you to
that's
like
gross. I need you to survive.
Yeah, like
I need your air to breathe. I listened to something yesterday.
before you, I didn't have anything.
Yep. Without you, I'm nothing. Everything Drake's ever said. That should be hitting though.
It does hit.
It be hitting.
Your playlist be hitting too.
Huh?
Your Drake playlist?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got the unalbum hits on my SoundCloud.
But any of those things are like Tank, like Maybe I Deserve. Like he knows he mistreated her.
Oh my gosh, that's the greatest shower song of all time.
It is, it's
actually.
So good.
That's the greatest, because when he says, yes, I cheated on you, you gotta throw the rag down at that exact moment.
To say,
you gotta throw the rag down at that very moment in the shower. And then you gotta like hold on to the side and like you gotta let the I'm about to say rain. You gotta let the water flow down.
Rain. You can't tell me
with
no
the tears.
different. It's rain.
Yeah, you
Usher
gotta make
got
the video.
some good shower hits too.
Yeah,
you
gotta
singing
make
about
the video.
ancient ass people.
Yeah, there's so many songs. Almost all songs. I'm trying to think of a healthy song, and it's like,
Bruh, even the lyrics to "Always Be My Baby" by Mariah Carey, a little crazy. Like now that I listen to them as an adult,
they're a little crazy
like,
or stalkerish or weird
you
too.
You look at her like, wait, what? Like.
You will always be a part. Now I gotta hear what she's saying.
Yeah, you gotta go back and listen to it. And maybe I'm wilding. Y'all let me know if I'm wilding.
But oh, don't you know you can't?
Okay, well, hold on.
Me.
This is a sidetrack, but it's connected to Mariah Carey. So on Twitter, I saw, because Twitter University be teaching a lot of things, that Honey is talking about coming. Mariah Carey's song Honey.
I don't even know how that song goes. Which song is Honey? I know the album and like all the gold she had on.
I was about to say the gold, and now
dang, I wish I had a gold tube top on. I would have almost been on it.
Like hit it in the little tunnel. We'll have to. Okay,
I don't know how that song specifically goes though for Honey.
And I would have been able to sing every single word to you. You want to do the way you used to.
Nah, yeah, see,
because your love comes over me.
I don't know
like
that song.
Honey. Yeah. Anyways, but I read a thread that was like, only Mariah Carey could get a song that's like number one and has all these accolades, but it's actually talking about that. And I was like, oh Lord.
I mean, The Weeknd won Kids' Choice Award singing about a girl sniffing cocaine. So I mean, we out here.
Yeah, we out here. So I think
it's what it is.
There's a lot of examples in music that are like not necessarily healthy or great about love. But what other things in pop culture can you think of that show like terrible examples of love?
I mean, in a lot of movies, the same way, or feeling like you lost a person, and then they're doing all these things like to get the person back. It's like they're not doing things for them. They're doing all these things to get the person back. Or there's so many movies, Hitch, things like that, where people are trying to figure out who they need to be to get somebody.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And again, I don't want to even pull any kind of holier than thou, because you got me a few months ago. I might have been on some of them tips too myself. But it's interesting because we do that stuff. And we're starting out talking about pop culture and music, movies, things like that, because that's like what we see and that's what we think we're supposed to be looking for in love, I think, for the most part, because that's what's ingrained in you, is like finding that right person, or the romanticism we see in movies, how it goes up and down, but then they get back together and all of that stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not really how that should be looking for real.
Yeah, I was about to say in my head, I heard, baby, please. Thinking about a different world. Like, even on those things. And I think it's important to start there, because when we're little, like outside of our family, pop culture is the biggest influence we have in how we frame love and how we think about it. Like, I remember just singing all these songs, all these old school like love and R&B songs when I was little, not knowing a dang thing, but I knew all the words. And then you start to think about like that's how relationships are. That's how you should feel in them. And then that really affects our actions and how we look at love in the future, in the present. Yeah.
Like, it's always been in music too. Like, even the old songs, like, what do you say? If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. The song about, what's it? If I Were Your Woman, and like stuff like that, where it's like you were the side girl, but you're singing these songs about, you know, you'll still be there, or how much you love the person, whatever. And again, it's not so much that it's like, oh, this is terrible per se, but like we get why do we have no healthy, is it just not dramatic enough? I don't know, but we have no healthy things. Or if we do, it seems like it's always about, I realized you're not the one, we're cool, we're separate, do your thing. Like, it's those kind of songs, and now we don't consider those love songs. So that's interesting too. What was your main examples of romantic love growing up?
I didn't really have any. My mom's relationship, like, she was single for a while, and then her and my stepfather have been married and divorced twice. And it's just a lot of things. Now they're separated. There's just a lot of things going on. So that wasn't a source. The only relationship I remember working that was quote unquote healthy is my grandparents. But even now, it's like I get older, you learn things, and you're like, oh, that wasn't even, like, they did have a beautiful relationship, and they chose to stick it out together till the end, which is beautiful. But there's a lot of things, nuances and things that I didn't see when I was little, because they're like, oh, my grandparents. But they're one of the only things, like, one of the only relationships, like, outside of movies and other things that I ever saw, quote unquote, work. And by working, I mean staying together. What about you?
For me, I would say, but it has a disclaimer too, but I would say my parents, they got married at, like, my mom was 18, about to turn 19. My dad was like 6 years older than her. And they had gone to the same school, but he had graduated before her. And they were scheduled to get married, but then they were trying to save themselves from marriage. So they did it a lot earlier. And so that's why, like, with her being young, like, I can say that without it being like, ooh, he was talking to like a 16-year-old, but he wasn't. They just like rushed it and like got married, and they celebrated their 37th or 38th anniversary this year in January.
Shout out to the Clancy.
And so like they've always, been together, and my dad is a very sweet and romantic type person. Like, even when I go home now too, like when he comes back to the crib, he'll give me a flower. He's very like on the chill, thoughtful type. Not having to spend the most, do the most, but he does little things that really are sweet. When I go home, I'll see little notes like that he wrote to my mom or something that she has on the mirror, stuff like that. But they also sleep in 2 different rooms because one of them's back is like, they have to do something crazy. So they need to get one of those beds that let you have both. But it's been so long. But when I think back to what you said, I definitely remember like some arguments or styles of things, of like maybe the way they argued. I'm like, ooh, I didn't like that, or that's not really cool. And I'm sure they had lots of other issues. One of the things I think about sometimes is, I don't know a lot of things about my parents or even my grandparents sometimes. When you think about it, like, I never actually try to sit and ask my dad, like, about what issues you had, or never try to ask them necessarily advice about certain things and really hear their stories about stuff. And I think that's actually kind of strange, and that we should. A lot of times I'll see people tweet about conversations with their grandparents, for example. And it's like, wow, so many cool things you learn. And same with that, you know, talking to them and really hearing about stuff, because everything can look cool, but it's not, you know, and nothing is ever 100% amazing when it comes to relationships and dealing with any other person or two people dealing with each other. I remember, it's so weird what you remember as a kid, but I remember being really small, and my mom and dad, they were both in the same room, but I remember my mom asking me, if we got a divorce, who would you want to live with? And that was so nothing, right? Like, and I think my dad was probably like, man, don't say stuff like that, and like whatever. And then it just ended. And it's not like they were arguing right then or anything, but it's weird how that didn't register as anything then. And I was like, well, like whatever we're talking about. But now it's like I will never forget that for some reason. So like you do remember little things, and now I'm like, I wonder if they were going through something and I didn't really know or what, you know. But I think that's interesting. So it's like I can see the good and bad, but I see that they're together, and I think that they're happy. They go on trips all the time. Every weekend they're like rolling out to something or somewhere, or a road trip or whatever. So that was my main example of love outside of, I guess, whatever I saw on TV or something.
Mm-hmm. And so what has love meant to you?
I thought love is just like about me. Maybe I didn't say that, but to me, I thought it's love when somebody will do anything for me. They're there for me. They care about me, listen to me. And even how I'm saying it right now, like I never would even say like, or maybe I'll throw in and vice versa. But you know, you think about, I want somebody to, what are they going to sacrifice for me? And not a big sacrifice, but like, you know, if I don't like a certain thing, will they change, or will this happen or that happen? Will they surprise me with stuff? The things that I like, will they get those things for me? And for me, love was what I saw from my dad for the most part. So like little thoughtful gestures, or lots of compliments, lots of telling me that I'm doing great or doing good jobs. So I grew up feeling like so like verbally supported in that way, and which is why that's like my love language. My top one is about what is it? The
Words
exact
of
words?
affirmation?
Yeah, words of affirmation, and just feeling like I need to make somebody proud. That's like my inner thing, which I'm gonna call it an issue, but my inner thing is like, you know, I want people to be proud and like be like, that's great, that's good, cool. And so I like that feedback and stuff to me. What about you? What did love mean to you?
And as we say this, I'm like, well, when I picked this topic, I was not trying to talk about all these inner issues, but
damn, I thought this was Carlie's couch.
Bro, it is, and we about to go there. My top love language is quality time. And so what I saw a lot was struggle in the relationships, like particularly my mom and my stepfather. And quality time, like choosing someone, like no matter what, through it all, like sticking around, like being there. And my mom works like 3 jobs, so she was never there. So for me, like love, like was being there and was choosing a person. And when I think about when I was little, like what I thought it was having someone choose me. And that's an issue because that leaves my validation up to somebody else. And that's something that I've been working on in my own self-love journey. Like, why do I need someone to choose me if I choose my damn self? Like,
and that reminds me of another pop culture reference is every Disney movie ever.
Oh my
God. It's always about the woman trying to get the prince, or you know, that situation working out. And for the ones I can think of off the top of my head, it's usually like a woman trying to prove herself or do something or whatever to get this guy who doesn't have to do anything. Like, he's just there. And
if you look at society, like we do, like in a sense, like it is up for a woman to prove her worth as a wife. Like I see that a lot in society and music and things. Well, she doesn't cook, she doesn't do these things. And not to say it doesn't exist on the other side, but I think women in particular are socialized from a very early age to try to be
fit roles.
Fit roles for a man, like to be, you know, the good like church girl and do all these things, but to be a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets and like all these, like there's all these like obligations. But also it reminds me of the on the Beyonce album, whenever I forgot the poet's name, but she was talking about how women are socialized to compete for a man's affection. And so I think that's why a lot of times in romantic relationships in particular, we're coming at things from completely opposite views.
And so growing up, it's like we don't even have to talk about love per se. And it's interesting thinking back now because it's not like we tried to say, oh, this must be love, or like, what is love? Like, that's just what it is, in air quotes, because that's what we're seeing like everywhere and all around. But when it comes to romantic love, is that really love? Like the things that we're seeing?
I don't think so.
Or it's not a good, accurate depiction, maybe.
Yeah,
because you never know what's really underneath certain stuff, but...
I think it's an accurate depiction because love is, like, can be very unhealthy and all these things, but, like, actual, like, true, like, genuine love for a person. Reading A Return to Love completely revolutionized the way that I think about it and helped me realize whenever I was, like, looking outside of myself for things. Like, I think that all of the things that we're seeing in terms of pop culture and a lot of the ways that we grew up, even our grandparents with perfect marriages, some of them had whole other families.
Yeah,
like
2 streets down.
The kids that look like them. You be like,
ain't nobody could come to you woman to woman on Instagram back then, so it was just rolling
woman
out.
to woman on Instagram. So I don't think that there are a plethora of depictions of healthy love.
Or maybe the weird thing is that healthy love doesn't look like a thing, really. Like, healthy love, what I view it as now, part of it, I guess, because we'll probably still keep going into it deeper. Healthy love is just me taking care of myself and me being okay with you being who you are. You have the freedom. I want you to be happy. Do what you do. I'm not attached to your happiness and what I care about and want for you. I'm not attached to it. I don't have to be attached to it. But we are, and we're on the same team. We're choosing each other. But that's just not, there's no story there. So that's like, where's the plot twist? Where's the arcs? You know, like that's not there. And I want to challenge everybody, if you could think of a healthy reference or like a healthy example of love in music or movies, let us know, like screenshot and let me know. Not that it's not there, because I'm for sure there has to be some things, but I'm just not thinking of them. So it'd be interesting to think of what a good example, but it's not dramatic enough. Like, it's just, when it's like all this trauma to get to that point where you're like, oh, it's different now. Yeah,
and I'm like thinking, I can't think of any like healthy, in my mind, what I would deem as like healthy love in pop culture. So please screenshot that. But 2 examples like of couples like that are alive, and well, today is like, so Grant Hill and Tamia. I don't see nothing about them, but they be looking happy to the mug on their things. And not to say that that's healthy love, because we have no idea what goes on. But that's the thing, is there's not really a story there. Like, and so in that sense, but also Red Table Talk, Will and Jada, they talked about their relationship and how they had to learn how to make themselves happy and to not be codependent. So I think that they've been a lot more vulnerable and transparent about their growth as a couple than a lot of people are. And what I would say is a healthy way, like Will told her, like, I resign, like I literally give up trying to make you happy. You need to figure out how to make you happy, and I make me happy, and we come together and work on happiness.
That's probably the biggest issue with air quote love as we know it, is that we view love as looking for something that we need, or we're looking for something that we don't have. And it's not really about that. Like, or we're trying to fill something. You're trying to fill something that you need, fill something that you avoid or something, and you're trying to fill it with something else. It's like trying to put a Band-Aid on something, but then it just complicates a relationship with another person instead of that really being healthy.
Yeah. And well, I love the way you framed it, and like, you're trying to fill a void, but you don't really have a void like for that anyone else can fill. You very well might have a void, but you have to learn how to fill that. Well,
for example, though, too, I lately, like, I'm always asking myself questions. I say this all the time, but as a woman, during my cycle, there's certain times where I'm more likely to maybe be on Tinder or like do something or whatever, right? Because my hormones are acting differently. But sometimes I can do stuff, or if I'm about to text a guy or hop on Tinder, which is like a game to me. I'm not really like trying to meet anybody on there, but I'll be on there and I can start talking and chatting, and I'm like, for what? Like, I don't like this person. I don't really want to see this person. I literally can think about it for real and be real with myself and say, I just needed some kind of little validation right now, or there's something that I needed, or there's something that I'm looking forward to hit a check mark on my brain and be like, now I feel better. Because I don't care. Like, I'm hitting you up because I'm bored, or and that sounds terrible, but like I might be hitting you up just because there's
Real
something.
on the couch.
Maybe somebody else didn't respond, or I don't know. But like a lot of times, even in love, like outside of just those quick little things, it's, man, I like this guy. He does what he wants to do. He's this or that. And really, I'm not there at those points. And so that's why I think I care about this person. A lot of times I think we use love instead of really just saying we admire somebody or that we really look up to a thing about them, because we'll attach. And this has happened to me with a past relationship where I really, really now it's like I really admired that person, their work ethic and blah, 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 that I really didn't have. And as soon as I started getting it, what happens with that relationship? Now I'm like, oh, what is this based on? Because I don't really need to see that thing, and that thing's not doing anything for me because I have it now. And now all I'm seeing is these other things. So that's where you need to be at a point where you really are yourself and you really know yourself. Because if you connect yourself to somebody while you're still trying to understand yourself and grow yourself, you're going to get to a point where either you really understand who you are and what you want to do, and maybe that's different now. Oh, shoot, can I sacrifice this relationship to do this thing?
Yeah.
Or it's going to be the other way around. You sacrifice those things to be like, dang, well, I got to stay here and I want to work this out with this person. Especially if you get married early. Like, that's more legit, like, oh, we're tied. Like, if you get married and you're still growing, you never know, like, what directions you're going to end up wanting to go in. And everything's just different.
Brad, I think about that. Like, when I was little, I thought that I was going to be married by the time I turned 25 so I could have kids before 30.
A lot of people did.
Because I didn't want to be an old mom. And I'm like, dog, 25-year-old Carlie is very different from 30-year-old Carlie. And I'm grateful. Praise God that didn't happen. But I think that happens a lot is you see a lack in yourself, subconsciously or consciously. And you're attracted to the idea of the person and their light or their purpose or their calling or whatever they're doing. But you're not really there for the person.
Yep.
And that's where we get caught up. And so I think it's a great time to self-check. One, before you post or before you text or whatever. And maybe it doesn't even have anything to do with love. Maybe you're like, man, I just need some validation today. So I'm going to post this picture on Instagram. But now
I'll be like, man, I don't feel like wasting my time. Like, trying to hit this person up that I don't really care about. Like for what? Or I'll ask myself, like, all right, what's going on with me? And maybe I'll go do something myself or like try to figure that out. Like, what is it that I'm thinking I'm missing at this moment? And then do it myself. But at the same time, it always pisses me off with the, like, you don't need love. What you're looking for is in yourself conversation sometimes, because then it makes you think, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of a relationship? What's the point of another person if anytime I'm feeling kind of like, I'm using lonely loosely, but like anytime I'm feeling like, oh, I'm alone or dang, I should want to be with somebody, is that a bad thing? Like, sometimes it does mean like, okay, there's more you could be doing with yourself, self-love, blah, blah, blah. But like, okay, it's still, you want to be with a person at some point, you know?
Yeah, I think it's where you come from. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, your mindset. And if you're coming from lack, like I'm lonely, I need someone to fill this void. Yeah. We're trying to fill like a void or something like that, as opposed to like, man, my life is dope. Like, I just want to share it with somebody because like I definitely want to share my life with somebody and have a partner who we can build with and grow with and do these things. Or
partners or whatever. Like, and that's the thing too. It could be different. Like how we think we want something to work or how we think it will work. I have some friends who are polyamorous. And they're married. It's a couple that's married. But like when you're really in that community, it's really a real community. And there's real rules and there's real a way of doing things. So I think it's weird when a lot of people are just like, oh, I want to have 2 girlfriends, or like they talk like that, but they don't understand that it's not like a, oh, well, I'm gonna switch over here when I don't feel like dealing with you. It's not like that. Yeah, and it's not no free for all. Everybody knows everything. You're just bringing happiness to different people and however y'all do it. But like there's real like a system of operations with that stuff. But some people are more fulfilled with that too.
And that's okay. And I think, especially in LA, like in New York, like I have friends in LA, New York who have explored poly and they're like, oh, it's not for me. Where they haven't, like, oh, it is. And I think it's a lot more fluid. And so maybe challenging your idea of what relationships are and what a romantic relationship is. And if you're like, nah, I know this is sad, just like question, like, well, what could it look like?
And if you can't deal with your boyfriend now or your husband now, it's like, why you think you want to have multiple people? Like, that ain't gonna work. I think that relationships tend to bring out our own issues. Whether that's your insecurity, jealousy, your own laziness, or your own like you're afraid to do something, but you see it in the other person, whatever it is. I think it's a good way to uncover like those things. And now you have an opportunity to work on them, but you have to come from it from a certain mindset to see it that way. And I think for me, that didn't happen until I'd gone through like whatever heartbreak or stuff to where I'm like, all right, everybody says you're supposed to have yourself together. So what does that mean? Like, what am I supposed to do to get myself together? And just taking a break from trying to like actively date or whatever. It's just different. For me, it was more of reading a lot and listening to things that kind of helped me get more on track and change the way I think about a lot of things, or maybe more than just hearing it, but like really starting to practice it, because we always hear all the time about like, oh, you need to be a whole person and this and that. Like we hear that all the time, but now I'm really challenged to, okay, instead of trying to call somebody to go out just because I want to go out, like what am I really going to do? You know, or like what is really different? How am I going to act when I see red flags now, or, you know, what's different?
And I like that pause. It's that moment to catch yourself before you go into your neuroses. Like, and I say that because, like I said, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, like it completely changed the way I think about it and really helped me frame like, oh, well, why am I doing these things? Or what does it mean to actually get whole? Like it really helped in those senses. But I think taking a step back and taking that pause that Lex was talking about has been the biggest like factor in growth, like the biggest catalyst for my growth when it comes to love. Cause now I can look at myself and like look at like my past like relationships and be like, oh dog, that really was me. That was a me thing. Like I really need to work on that. Like something that came to mind when you were talking was a guy I used to date has said, he was like, you know, he's like, you got to stop trying to be my everything. He's like, I don't need you to be everything. I just need you to be you.
We hate hearing that too. I've heard that too. It was like, yo, stop like trying to, you know, like, oh, I'm on the way. Like, do you need some food? Do you want this? And to me, I'm thinking like, oh, you know, that's how it would be. But it's like, I don't need you to solve my issues. Like, I don't need you to like try to do all that. And that's like, what?
I know, like,
that's when you know it's on you, because you're looking for some kind of like something you need by doing that for somebody, by saving somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it's like, now in dating, I'm like, hey, if you need my help with anything, please let me know and leave it alone. And can't get my feelings hurt if he's like, no, I'm good. We're like, okay.
Yeah, one of the things I really learned was that person you're trying to save, you think you're trying to save them, but you really need to save yourself. Like if you feel like you're in a space where you're trying to help somebody, save somebody, or help them see what they should be doing. Bro, think about you and like, why are you even thinking that way? I remember, I'm such a Googler. Like I Google every little thing, like for no reason. So I literally remember Googling before, like something like, well, how to deal with a narcissist or something. Because in my mind, I'm trying to problem solve a human being. I'm trying to problem solve a person and think about, well, what things could I do so that they realize this or see this about themselves? And I remember reading this whole article, and at the end, or maybe it was a perfectionist or something like that. And then at the end, they were like, okay, you read all that, but now think about yourself. Like the fact that you're even Googling this right now to read an article about perfectionism, narcissism, whatever it is, it's like probably means that all of these things are relevant to you. Like
self-check.
You're that person. You're the same thing, because you're trying to make that other person bend so that things look a certain way for you or are perfect for you or whatever. And you're trying to control. That's like Googling how to deal with a controlling person. You're fucking Googling that, bro. Like you are controlling. That's you. And so for me, I was like, oh shit. Like I started to see and I started to think about consciously things that I'm trying to air quote change at the time, which is not a good thing, but like trying to change or have problems with. I'm doing the same things. Or even with my whole, we did that moving on episode, the way that, you know, the guy just kind of disappeared or whatever. It literally did not click to me until a month ago, maybe. And this is what made me be okay with that whole situation. Actually, all of a sudden, or even more so, it was like the final closure thing in my brain. As I said, oh shit, I did that same thing to a guy. The same thing. I didn't not text them. Like I told them, I was like, yeah, you know, like I'm good. But like, yes, I had moved. I had started talking to somebody else. I didn't tell, they don't know all that stuff, you know? And so I thought about like, yeah, I did the same thing. And do I consider myself an evil or bad person necessarily? And that helped me to look at them in a different lens to where, okay, like they're on their journey, maybe in that same space I might have been in at this point. Does that mean I need to enable them or cater to them or try to be there even with them. Do I even need to talk to them? No, like I don't. Like I don't. That doesn't mean we have to be best friends, anything like that. But it allows me to be okay with it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it really does.
And so for me, love now is like the moment I feel like I'm trying to change something or I see something that needs to change or like, man, it's good. But this, it's like, oh man, that's not, analyze it. You like the person or you don't like the person. Mm-hmm. If you want to change the person, you don't like them. You don't need to be dating them. You don't need to be with them.
Ding, ding, ding.
Like, period.
I love that. And then there's an example in the book that I've been talking about. And she says, like, imagine that you have all these, like, since I've been catching up on Game of Thrones before it drops, you had all these, like, sword wounds, right? Mm-hmm. Like, on you. And anytime somebody touched one, you're like, don't do that. Mm-hmm. And so you start building up protections around. Mm-hmm. And as long as nobody's touching your wounds, you're good. You like them. They're fun and attractive. But the moment they touch a wound, like, something's wrong. And you got to tell them and they can fix it. And it's like, do you really want to live your life like that? Or do you want to work on healing those things? And then doing that. But I think there is a baseline of you do have to like somebody. Like, it's not just like, well, you can make it work
really
with
like people. Like,
you
real. Think you like them.
It's okay.
You don't really like them. Like,
you're bored.
At the end of the day. And not even about the bored. You like them, but it's not them. It's this story in your head that you like. Like, you like these ideas. You like this one little thing about them. And so that's all you see. Like, you blind yourself. Yeah. Like, you're liking what you think they could be. You don't like that person. And so if you don't like the person, it's best to just not do that. Very similar to what you just said in Untethered Soul, he talks about as well, where it's like you build up all these protections around you, but then it ends up just being your prison. So when it comes to like vulnerabilities, things like that, that blocks your intimacy, because if I can't be myself, and that's one thing I learned too, that love is I'm literally being myself. And I feel like I spent so much of my life when it comes to like guys or whatever, and I'm not even a boy crazy person, so that's the first thing for me. Like, I didn't even have a boyfriend until I was maybe a junior in college, and we didn't even go that hard. Like, I've always been like whatever about guys, but overall, still, when it comes to relationships, it's always kind of been like, all right, what do I need to be doing? Like, oh, I do this and that too, or I'm learning about the things you like. And I'm thinking, I'm just doing that because, I want to be a part of what you're doing. I like thinking that, I'm a part of their life, integrated or whatever. And that's fine. But I realized, like, even like with my last ex, I'm thinking about like, we were dating for like a couple of years or whatever. I don't think he doesn't really, really know me, because I thought about the facts. And I'm like, there's a lot of things that I do regularly that I never did in front of them, or they never saw, or I was trying to make sure I was cute, or not to the level of, what's that Netflix movie?
The Wonderful, or I was thinking the show.
With Sanaa Lathan. Oh. Did you see that joint about the hair?
Oh, no, I haven't. Nappily Ever After?
Yeah, Nappily Ever After. I was like, oh, hell nah. Because in the first scene, they're like waking up in bed and the guy's asleep. And she gets up, goes to the bathroom, does a full face of makeup, does her hair, and then goes back and lays down so that she can wake up, like, fully done. And so he's like, good morning. She's like, good morning. And she looks all fresh. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's people where they never saw my hair wrap, because I'm like, I just go to sleep. And knowing if I was at home, I wouldn't have missed the day, if my hair was straight, like wrapping it up. So little things like that. It's like, yo, what are you hiding? Like, why are you trying to hide? I think love is, you can really be yourself, and being yourself doesn't excuse like your issues either. Like, yes, we need to be working on certain things, but if you ever feel like you are maneuvering or moving in a way where you're like, you don't want to make somebody like have any disapproval towards you, then something's not right there.
And that's what I love about getting older, because I think that I did the same thing. Like, I was trying to fit who I thought I had to be in my head, or all of these things. And what I've realized is, if I'm not myself, how can a person really love me or be in love with me if they don't know who I am, who Carlie is? Not this perfect idealized version of Carlie who always looks fly and always does this. No, because that's not me. That's not always who I am, who sometimes gets stressed out. Like I have shared before, that it's hard for me to be vulnerable. And if you're not sharing those things with your partner, what's going to happen when y'all get married or move in together, and then all of a sudden you just completely different person? And so I think that's so necessary to learn how to be yourself. I also don't want to manipulate anybody into loving me. Like all these books that talk to women in particular.
Or did.
Oh, I can see that, because she's a spy, y'all.
I just know like what things I need to do.
Yeah, to make them like, these are the 3 things, and then you'll fall in love. But I don't want to have to do that. Like, I don't want to have to go on 3 dates and then not text you for 3 days. And then like, there's
all the
like, that is so
and
dumb.
Equations.
And if it works for you, like, that's fine. And I'm not talking noise, but it's just not for me. Like, my person will see me because I'm going to be myself. And then that's how love works. Like, you have to let that guard down. And then also, it can't always be good. And I say that because if you are looking for a life partner or partners, there's going to be a lot of downtime and in between things. So it's not only celebrating when things are good, it's learning how to live everyday life with them. And so maybe some days conversations are boring. And I remember I used to like beat myself up like, oh, that conversation wasn't like the greatest. Like nothing exciting happened. But I'm like, Carlie, bruh.
That's regular life.
Exactly. That's regular life. And that's okay.
Yeah. There's that honeymoon stage of when you're dating and stuff where you're like talking all day or maybe chatting or, you know, things are different because you're getting to know them. It's very natural for that to stop. Like, that's one big thing, especially with men, that women complain about. Because, like, oh, it's like he doesn't really care as much anymore. He doesn't say sweet things as much anymore. And y'all correct me, the men listening, if I'm wrong. But one thing that I've kind of heard from guys and also have read about, you know, the way they're thinking, it's like, she knows I love her. Like, I love her. I'm here. And it's just a different kind of level to now. It's almost like because they feel that way about you, they're comfortable not feeling like they have to like do things all the time or prove it to you all the time. So it's kind of like thinking from a different lens. But from us, we're like, oh, you used to talk to me all the time, or we used to do this and we used to do that. But part of love is going with the flow of that journey and getting to know each other. And I think that we're always getting to know each other. But one thing I found myself doing that was a mistake was feeling like that rush time at the beginning. And rush, I mean, not as in moving fast, but like I get rushes like, oh, he texted me, or oh, we're talking, or whatever. Like during that time, it's weird because I don't think we're really like trying to learn about each other. We're trying to like impress each other more, or we're trying to like enjoy this like chemistry or whatever. But how people really act in like real situations and over time, it's like, oh, this is really like who we are. Like as you get out of that hype moment and you're like just real, and it's just like, it's here, but that's real. Like that's okay. You always should be like learning about each other, talking about stuff and getting to know each other. Even in those regular conversations, it's still like meaningful. It's just different.
It's just different. And I would say that also requires a lot of personal growth and realizing, like, if you feel like they need to text you good morning every single morning, like, why is that a thing?
Yeah.
And, like, questioning these things. And also, like, seeing how they give love and how you receive it, because those could be 2 very different things. And, I mean, there's a level of incompatibility, like, where that might just not work. But if you're needing them to do all these things to make you feel validated, then that's a you thing. And that's a self-check. And realizing that if you can be yourself and it's reciprocated and to the level that you feel like, just communicating with your partner. I say all that to say it's also about communicating with your partner. For me, it's important also to have a safe space to be myself and to learn. Like, so I'm doing a lot of self-growth, like reading books and questioning all these things about myself and trying to grow. Like, my partner has to be someone who I can do that with. And for me, that's really important. And I say has to by like, if I'm having a bad day, like what's going on? Like someone that I would feel comfortable sharing that with and kind of growing through it. And they can kind of check me like my friends do and be like, nah, dog, that's you. Like you got to fix that.
Yeah. Little things are interesting to me when a friend of mine can call me. It can be a guy friend, but like a friend of mine can FaceTime me and I'll just be like, bloop, even if I'm like crazy looking or whatever. And the fact that I don't care, but then that other person FaceTime me and I'm like, oh man, like even having that thought like, oh man, I don't want them to see me like this. But it's like, wait, what? Like how miserable would you be for the rest of your life if you're really like putting that lens between what's real and like what you think should be happening or things should look like. Like it just hit me like, oh, that's crazy. Like answer this phone or like talk to this person or do things the way you need to do it so that you can very quickly see, is this authentic? Is this something genuine? Or if it's not, it's not. If they're like, whoa, and they never talk to you again, cool.
That
like
wasn't your person.
Y'all did each other a favor. Like you're never doing yourself a favor by not being yourself. Like you're not going to be in alignment, period.
Yeah. And I think that's something that society has not shown us is like being real. like being completely you. And that's not saying to the extent like, well, this is who I am and I'm never changing, because nobody wants to date a rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like a monolith, but like growing. And it's so funny because you said that, and I thought about, because you be teasing me about my FaceTime angles.
Yeah. You be doing a lot.
Like,
She be doing a lot.
but I also, me realizing like I really had to do that self-check with myself. Like, why do I feel like I need to look great, or like I'll rush and take my hair out of a bun? Like,
right,
girl,
doing
why?
the most, yeah.
Girl, why? Like, why is that? Do you feel like they can't see you? Because that's not a them thing. That's most likely a you thing.
Mm-hmm. But what does love mean to you now? I guess that's kind of broad, but
yeah. When I think about love, and y'all can challenge me on this, I'm still working through the idea that all love is the same, that there are two emotions in general, fear and love, and everything stems from them. I used to disagree and be like, romantic love is not the same as like friend love, but I think there's just different levels and facets. It's all coming from the same place. And so it's caring about a person, and I'm talking myself through this, caring about a person like in a romantic sense, like I want them to flourish, and I romantically like am interested in them and love them, and I want them to be the best version of themselves. And that's not dependent on our relationship. Mm-hmm. And so meaning like I want him to be great and to self-actualize and flourish and do all those things. And I am romantically interested in him. But like if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to not love him and support him.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes back to like my FaceTime thing with a friend versus that guy that you like or whatever, where when you think about it, the love you have for your friends sometimes can be more of a real love than what you think you're calling somebody like and saying, I love you all the time, because it's there. It's real. Like it's like it's this thing. For me now, love for the person is I don't care as much about, man, that sounds weird though to say like I don't care about our relationship. There's like it's somebody I'm not with, but I can still say that I love them because like I just want you can be good. Like I can respect you, I can love you, but I can also do that from a distance. And so for me, what I look for now is, somebody that can be here, that we choose each other every day, make the choice to be there, because it is easy to, be wherever, do whatever, not care, be in one time, hokey pokey it, left hand in, out. Like a lot of people do that where you're kind of in and out just because teasing the waters or keeping it gray to see what else happens. But, just somebody where you're choosing each other and you are clear on your purpose and you are living in your purpose. This person is clear on their purpose. They're living in that, and you guys complement and you're supportive of each other. Communication is a big thing. And that's one of the biggest things that I've had trouble with in relationships, where I felt like that communication wasn't there or the same. But I also learned a lot more about myself, thinking that I was like this great communicator, and I wasn't necessarily, or I'm not, or there's things that I am actually scared to say. And so now it's weird because even like the last person I was in a relationship with, I feel like I love them now more than I did when I was loving them, like with them. I love them way more because I don't care about a lot of things. Like do what you do or do it how you do. I kind of can keep myself removed or where I need to be as it makes sense for me, because you're not wrong. Like he's not killing anybody. Like he's not wrong. There are just certain things that are like, yeah, that's not really a match for me, and how you perceive certain things or communicate or whatever. Like if I want somebody to be a little bit more romantic, cool. That's that's fine. But I'm not mad at you, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. But I can still like love them. And now it's not with these filters of, I need to see this, or I want to see this, or, I'm hoping to get this. Like I'm not hoping for anything. I don't have any expectations. As long as that mutual respect, admiration is there, then we're cool.
Yeah. And all of those things. So I second, but then also someone that I can grow with, and both on our personal journeys and together, like somebody I can do life with. And the term purpose mate, like my person will be my purpose mate. And when I say that, like they're working towards their purpose and I'm working in mine, and they're complementary. Like you said, maybe not we're working together, but we can help each other get further along in our
things
purpose.
Just make more sense.
They make sense. Like we flow, and that doesn't mean it'll always be easy, but we choose each other every day. We respect them. Yeah.
And you're not trying to mirror a thing. There is no, oh man, we're going to be Beyonce and Jay-Z. There is no, we're going to be these people in this movie. There is no, I want to be whoever, like couples, Tamia and Grant Hill. Like there is none of that. We're us, we get us, we communicate us. As long as we can communicate, we can get through anything. And we're choosing to do that.
And it really just comes down to that person, like you choosing yourself, them choosing themselves, and then y'all choosing each other. And it can grow into whatever beautiful thing you want, and you don't have to put it in a box of what you thought marriage had to look like. That was my biggest thing
too. Trying to put people in boxes, put situations in boxes, like what's going on, like should it be this, that, and it was just me being afraid or. I don't know, just doing too much. When as soon as I saw something I didn't like, I could just walk away from it. Like, and it's much easier now to do that because even if I walk away, that's not even necessarily closing that door. That gives, the person has the opportunity to do, balls in their court, do what you do. I'm going to do what I do without having to feel like I'm looking back, and I'm doing what I want to do without trying to find a reaction or create a reaction.
Yes.
That's a big issue too. You find yourself doing things. You ever had a person who's like, I'm gonna hurt myself, or somebody who's like, God, I've seen people like they'll lie about being sick or going to the hospital or something because they just want to see if you care and all that.
Yeah.
And even myself to a degree, I've probably like done little stuff like that before. But like, you just think about how wild that stuff is now, and it's like, nah, you don't need to get reactions. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to explain everything. And it's easy to say that. But then when you think, well, what if that person feels that about me? And that's kind of how, like, with my last thing, it switched where I'm like, oh, I'm okay because I'm saying like, oh, I don't need to explain myself, prove myself. They don't either, actually, But meanwhile, you can say that, but you still want somebody to like be proving themselves to you.
Exactly.
Like you still want somebody to like fight for your love, blah, blah, blah. Like, nah, they're thinking the same thing. Like, they're like, all right, whatever. And so now if you're both in your own spaces, working on your own wholeness, like, all right, I'm stepping away because I didn't like that thing or whatever. You're still in a healthy space where who knows what could happen or not happen, but either way, you are you and you are in your journey, you're in your space.
Yeah, and it's still all love.
Yeah. Life is just like all these paths crossing. I mean, that's my tattoo that says euthymia is the philosophical term from Seneca that means being aware of your own path, regardless of all the paths that intersected. Like not getting distracted to go off, not feeling like just because somebody's on your path, they have to stay there. Like you focus on where you're supposed to be and the right people are there, the right things happen. And it feels bad when you're off. When it feels bad.
And I think that's where a lot of the heartbreaks and a lot of the pain and the suffering that people think about when it comes to relationships is because you're more so attached to the outcome and to how things have to manifest. Like that's your attachment to how it has to look and how it has to be, instead of enjoying like what it is and where it is and what you can learn in the present. And when your mind is not in the present, you're not in the relationship in general or whatever it is. So learning to love yourself, be whole, and then knowing that whatever things are is where they're supposed to be, and that's okay. Like that is the root of all suffering, according to Buddha, or whoever actually said that, or whoever said it but credited Buddha.
Right. Do you have a shout out this week?
I do not.
I can't think of anybody's shout out this week either. But for the question of the week, we don't have one written down, but I'm about to make one up.
Hey.
And my question of the week is, what can you do to better show love?
Ooh, that's a good one. When
romantic love, since that's what we're talking about, I guess.
When I think of like all love languages, I like to give in them all. Like I like to receive in quality time and like touch and words of affirmation, but I give with them all. And so I think, what can I do to better show love? I would say it's almost counterintuitive, but to listen and be still.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say to listen. Yeah. Listen more. Because I feel like a lot of times we go into relationship things knowing what we want. And I like this, and I want this, and I want to see this. And if I listen, I wouldn't be trying to craft these stories because I'm paying more attention to really what you're saying. And I can act on what you're saying and showing or whatever. But it's just listening. I think that's one of the biggest things, not to get back all into the episode, but one of the biggest things that changed for me as well was I kept hearing, well, I need space differently, or, to me differently is like, what do you mean you need space? Like, we already don't live anywhere close to each other or whatever. And I learned to actually like listen, like, okay, well, what if I do this? And it's okay if a day might go by or something that, we didn't really talk or whatever. But then, when you're about to get crazy and be like, oh, well, and say something, or you just want to get a reaction or see if they'll answer, whatever, I really learned that if I just chill, nothing bad is happening. The next day he hits you and is like, oh man, I was on set yesterday, or, or you're thinking these things and nothing's happening. It's just like, be chill, like live your life. And if you're hearing what they're saying, you have to trust that or not trust it. But yeah, making up those narratives and stuff and seeing your own stories instead of really hearing what a person is saying is something that's really hard. I'm already not a great listener. I haven't been, but I can see how big of a difference it makes for sure.
I have a challenge for you guys this week. Since Lex made up a question, I'm making up a challenge.
You said make up a question, like that's not something we do every week.
No, it's awesome. No, it's good. We do. But I'm saying like off the dome.
Okay.
But a challenge is to look at what stories you're telling yourself. And you're like, Carlie, what are you talking about? What I mean is, so like in this sense of relationships, like I know I have to do this so that they'll feel loved. Okay, well, that could be a story you're telling yourself. Like maybe stop and think like, do I really have to do these things? Or why am I doing them? Like really like questioning them, questioning yourself, and then questioning your actions in relationships. And just seeing, because if you're constantly living in these stories that you've told yourself, like if they don't do these things, they don't love me. If I don't do this, then I'm not whatever. Then you're never actually in the present. And how can you really love someone and receive love if you're never in the present? If you're always in your head and how things have to be. So
that's a good challenge. And a lot of times what that means is just slowing down. So when you get a text or before you say something or do something, literally like, just take a second and then like say what you need to say. But like think about where that's coming from, or what are you hoping for something to happen, hoping for some reaction, or hoping for them to be like, oh baby, I'm sorry, or like, no, I didn't mean that, or whatever. Like just stop moving in that way. Like move according to what you want and need, not what you're trying to control or make somebody else do.
Ooh, I like that.
It's all a control game and manipulative game. Like I said with reading that article, like that's literally one of the biggest things about me. I'm like, oh, like I'm not innocent, and we're not innocent when it comes to love. It's very easy to talk about, oh, this person did this, or they cheated, or they were crazy, or whatever. I am so all about responsibility in my life now that it's like, nah, bro, like that's cool and all. Like that stuff happened. That doesn't excuse anybody or anything. But there were so many decisions that I could have made differently.
Oh my God.
And that would have made all of that go away or not happen. And so it's so easy. I'm so thankful that I have the awareness now where and a lot of times we just say all these things and then it's still like you're doing it or you're struggling with it. But like I really am very aware now about doing things differently and about intentions behind doing things. And so I'm excited for whatever love pops up or happens because I don't have any plan for it apparently. And I stopped wasting time with people that I knew wasn't doing, like it was just something to do or whatever. Like I kind of cut all that because there's so much more that I could be putting into myself instead of doing something just to be doing it. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. But I come at it a lot more healthier now, which is why it makes it like I'm not dating a lot, or it's not like you're with somebody different every whatever, because it's more like taking your time with it and just seeing things from the beginning about, am I going to like this person as a friend, honestly, or even just like this person, period, to let it grow into something.
Yeah, because I mean, my person is going to be one of my best friends, and not like like they really will. Because if we're doing life together, we gotta be good friends, fam. Because I'm not always going to be sexually attracted to you or like romantic. I mean, I'm not saying like, and when we get older, I mean like if you piss me off, like or whatever, I might be mad, but our friendship could be the thing that sustains it. It's not going to be sex or the fun that we have or our purpose, whatever it's going to be, or that friendship and that bond. But the last thing I have is taking responsibility for my part in relationships, even if I got quote unquote done wrong, was the way that I completely healed. Yeah. Like I had forgiven the other person, but I hadn't forgiven myself.
Yeah. Same. Seeing your own mess and just understanding like what happened and what you can do differently. It's just like, okay.
No, and that's really what helped me heal and to be in a healthy place to date or to explore new love and relationships. And to wrap up what I said, I will always be sexually attracted to my partner. I'm speaking that into existence and abundance, but it's that bond. It's that real love that is what holds it down.
Oh. So guys,
why that sigh?
I don't know. If you want to text that person right now, nah, don't do it.
Stop and ask yourself why.
Right. Yeah, for real. For real. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed that episode. That was interesting because we had a few questions down or whatever, but then we just ended up talking about our own stories and ways that we've learned. But, of course, you can tell us what you think about the episode. Comment, let us know where you are in your journey of love. We said before, like, if you have any examples of good love that you really have seen or know, like, I'm interested in just seeing that just to see. But it's funny because that's so pop culture. To think about love in this way, it's almost like you're like an outlier kind of. But it feels comforting and good when I'm talking to people who have been in a relationship for a long time or just people who do kind of get certain things too. And they're like, yeah, like that's what it's about. And so, having the right people around you too that are in the same space, because I don't have, a whole lot of friends who like hit me up with their issues every week in the same issue. And you know how there's always those people and you're like, bro, I just need you to get on the program. Like, you doing things all wrong, but that ain't my business either. So focus on you. I'm going to focus on me. The person of your dreams hopefully is focusing on them. And then we can focus on us.
Each other. Happy Monday or whatever day this is that you're listening. Sign up for our newsletter, carliescouch.com. Sending y'all all the hugs and love.
I guess. I don't co-sign the hugs and love, but thanks for listening. Bye.
Only if you consent.